They say if you look into her eyes for too long, you'll see your own death staring back. Little Neka never blinks, not once. And the things she sees, they always come true. The village of Umocha slept under a heavy moon, the kind that made the elders whisper of bad omens. The air was thick with the scent of burning palm fronds and something else, something uneasy. In the smallest hut at the edge of the village, a child sat wide awake, her unblinking eyes fixed on the darkness outside. Neka. She was 12 years old, but the villagers spoke of her as if she was something far older, something unnatural. Look away when you pass her, the mothers warned their children. Her eyes carry curses. Neka had never known the relief of a blink. Her eyes, large and dark as the midnight river, stayed open, always watching. The village healer had tried remedies, herbs, incantations, even the painful drip of pepper water. But nothing worked. The girl's gaze remained unbroken. Only her grandmother, Mama Ifeoma, refused to fear her. "Ah, she sees what others cannot," the old woman would say, stroking Neka's hair. "That is not a curse. It is a calling." But the village did not believe in callings. They believed in witches. The first time Neka spoke of what she saw, she was 7. She had tugged at the hem of a fisherman's tunic and said, "Your boat will sink tomorrow." The man had laughed, but the next day the river swallowed his canoe whole. He survived, but his laughter did not. After that, the whispers grew louder. "She is not normal." The spirits talked to her. "She is a child of the dead." Neka learned to stay silent, to lower her eyes when people passed. But the visions never stopped. She saw shadows where others saw empty air, tall, gaunt figures drifting between the huts, their mouths moving in silent screams. Sometimes they looked at her. Sometimes they reached out. Then came the night that changed everything. The village was celebrating the New Yam festival, the air thick with drum beats and laughter. Neka sat apart, as always, her eyes scanning the crowd. That was when she saw it. A dark shape clinging to the chief's son, Emeka, like a second shadow. Its fingers curled around his wrist, its hollow eyes locked onto his. Neka knew what it meant. She stumbled forward, her small voice cutting through the noise. "Emeka will drown before the next moon." Silence fell. The chief, a broad man with a temper as quick as his wealth, turned to her with a sneer. "What did you say, child?" Neka did not flinch. "The river will take him, 3 days from now." The crowd erupted. Some gasped, others laughed. Emeka himself smirked, flexing his arms. "I swim better than any man here. Nothing will—" "Enough!" The chief's voice boomed. He grabbed Neka by the arm, his grip bruising. "You dare spread evil on this night? Your tongue is as cursed as your eyes." Mama Ifeoma rushed forward, pulling Neka away. "She does not lie, she only speaks what she sees." The chief's face twisted. "Then may the gods strike you both if her words are false." For 3 days the village waited. On the 3rd evening, Emeka went to the river with his friends, boasting loudly about how no spirit could best him. Neka watched from the shore, her heart heavy. She already knew how this would end. The moment his foot slipped on the wet rocks, the moment the current dragged him under, it happened exactly as she had seen. His friends dove after him, but the river refused to give him back. When they pulled his body from the water at dawn, his face was frozen in terror, his eyes wide open, just like Neka's. The village erupted in chaos. Witch! She killed him. She must die. The chief's grief turned to fury. He stormed through the village, gathering the elders. "That child has brought death upon us. She will answer for it." Mama Ifeoma begged, her voice breaking. "She did nothing. She only warned you." But no one listened. They came for Neka at midnight, their torches cutting through the dark like angry spirits. They dragged her from her grandmother's arms, their hands rough, their voices louder than the howling wind. "To the forbidden river," the chief commanded. "Let the water cleanse her evil." Nneka did not scream. She did not fight. She only stared at them with those endless, unblinking eyes, watching as they carried her to the place where sinners were drowned. The river was black under the moon, its surface still as death. The chief raised his hand. "Throw her in." For a moment, Nneka hung in the air, her small body silhouetted against the night. Then the water swallowed her whole. The villagers waited. The river did not give her back. Satisfied, they turned away, muttering prayers under their breaths. The curse was lifted. The witch was dead. But deep below, where the light could not reach, something stirred. The water was speaking, and Nneka was listening. The river had taken her, but it did not let her die. Nneka sank like a stone, the cold water pressing against her skin, filling her ears, her nose, her open eyes. The villagers' shouts faded above her, replaced by the muffled silence of the deep. She should have been afraid. She should have struggled. But something in the water called to her. A hand, smooth and cold as polished stone, closed around her wrist. "Open your eyes, child." But they were already open, always open. The darkness shifted. Shapes moved in the water around her, faces pale and stretched, their mouths open in silent cries. The drowned, the forgotten, the wronged. And then she saw her. A woman, tall and terrible, her body made of river weeds and rotting wood, her eyes twin pits of black water. The spirit of the river, the one the elders whispered about in hushed tones, the one they had betrayed. "They fear you," the spirit murmured, her voice like the rush of a flooding stream. "Because you see what they hide." Nneka tried to speak, but the water filled her mouth. It didn't matter. The spirit understood. "You are mine now," she said, "and I will give you the sight they tried to drown." Then the river breathed into her. Nneka's vision exploded, images, memories, secrets, rushing into her mind like a dam breaking. She saw the chief, years younger, holding his brother's head beneath the water until his thrashing stopped. She saw the village priestess slipping poison into a rival's cup. She saw stolen children, buried gold, lies wrapped in holy words. Every sin Umuocha had ever committed flashed before her, searing itself into her soul. The spirit's grip tightened. Go back. Show them what they truly are. Then the water spat her out. Nneka burst onto the shore, gasping, her lungs burning. The village was silent, the celebration of her death already turning to drunken slumber. No one saw her rise from the riverbank, her soaked dress clinging to her thin frame, her unblinking eyes now gleaming with something other. She walked back into the village. The first person to see her was Obi, the blacksmith, stumbling home from palm wine. When he saw her standing in the moonlight, water pooling at her feet, he screamed like a child. You're dead." Nneka tilted her head. "You killed your first wife," she said softly. "Pushed her down the well because she couldn't give you a son. She's still there. She whispers to you at night, doesn't she?" Obi's face crumpled. He fell to his knees, sobbing. Word spread faster than fire. By dawn, the entire village knew. Nneka had returned, and she knew everything. The chief stormed from his hut, his face a mask of fury. "This is a trick! A demon wearing the witch's face!" He grabbed a machete. "I'll cut the lies from her tongue." Nneka didn't flinch. When he raised the blade, she simply said, "Your brother's bones are buried beneath your hearth. You drowned him there the night you became chief." The machete clattered to the ground. The villagers turned on each other then, accusations flying like knives. The priestess tried to flee, but Nneka's voice stopped her cold. "You sold 3 girls to the slave traders last dry season. Their mothers still weep at the riverbank." One by one, Nneka unmasked them all. The thief, the murderer, the liar, the betrayer, and as she spoke, the river answered. Those whose sins were darkest began disappearing. Obi vanished in the night, his body found floating in the shallows, his face frozen in terror. The priestess woke to water filling her hut, dragging her screaming into the earth. The chief, mad with fear, ran into the forest, but the trees whispered his brother's name and the vines pulled him under. By the third day, half the village was gone. The survivors huddled together, trembling. Mama Ifeoma stood before them, her voice weary but firm. The river has judged us. Now we must atone. But Nneka was already walking away back toward the water's edge. Her work was done. As she reached the riverbank, a small hand touched hers. A child, no older than she had been when they first called her a witch, stood there, his eyes wide with fear. And something else. Understanding. Will it hurt? He whispered. Nneka studied him. Then, for the first time in her life, she blinked. No, she said. Not if your heart is clean. And with that, she stepped into the river, letting the dark water claim her once more. Behind her, the village began to burn its idols. Years later, travelers speak of a place where the river runs unnaturally still. They say if you look into its depths at just the right angle, you'll see a pair of unblinking eyes staring back. And if your soul is heavy with sin, the water will rise to greet you. What would the river see if it looked into your heart? Subscribe for stories.